Meeting creatives with the same passion as you is oftentimes a good reminder that we have the best job in the world. Now, Abraham, he was my first contact when I moved here to Sweden in 2019, and I attribute a lot of my confidence to his kindness. You know, Abraham, he's a photographer here in Stockholm, and he's known for shooting Swedish Idol, Changing Attitudes, as well as my favorite work of his for Morjas. I want to invite you to focus on his genuine positivity and his outlook on the idea of personal growth and also professional growth. You'll hear him talk about the idea of growing into gear, but also the importance about growing out of gear. You'll hear him say that you don't need a good camera to do good work. You can really tell that he genuinely loves life in his work. And really my goal for this episode is I want to share that positivity. I hope it's contagious. So I hope you like this episode. We had a lot of good fun making it, and I hope we can do more. So I think it's really fitting that you're the first one for this podcast because you're actually the first photographer that I met in Stockholm. That was a year ago. I was brand new to the city after being abroad for my entire life. And yeah, I remember when I just reached out to you on Instagram, I saw your work because I think I looked up the tag like Stockholm photographer, and I found you, and your skin tones and your lighting were exactly what I hope my photography could be one day.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to reach out. And yeah, you met me at a cafe, and I was so happy to see that there was some sort of like a collaborative feeling in the industry. So I guess all I can do is like thank you for letting me have that introduction into the city. So,
oh man,
thanks for that.
Thank you. That was really a nice set of you.
No, of course.
I'm flattered.
I mean, yeah, being new to a city, like the biggest thing for me, I wanted to meet creative people.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot. It was a good start. So I got to know you a little bit, but for those listening, I'd love for them to kind of know a little bit about your background. So why don't you start telling us like kind of where you grew up, where your upbringing was, and most importantly, how did your passion for photography start?
Oh, that's a big issue.
Why?
No, it's a big subject.
Take your time.
It's a big subject.
We got all night.
Yeah, I grew up in Uppsala. It's like 1 hour north of Stockholm. It's, what do you say? They have a big university there.
Yeah.
And a lot of, that's like a big hub for science and all that stuff. So not that fun for a kid, but I grew up playing soccer and drums. It's always been a big passion for me. So actually my passion for photography started as all of those bands I played in needed photography, I think that's like my first introduction. So I like stole my dad's digital camera. We had this one with like, it was this thing was this big and the display was this small. It was like the display was the size of an SD card.
Do you remember what camera it was?
No.
Okay.
I think it's maybe in a box somewhere.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Do you not even remember like what brand? Like if it was a Sony or like an old Canon?
Not even some of those brands. It was like, really old stuff.
All right.
Yeah, and I like one of my best friends. He like was into graffiti, so I went out and like took photos of tags and graffiti, and then I took photos for my bands.
Okay.
And like created websites for them and like the entire communication bit from my bands and stuff. So
well, you're still into music now, right?
Yeah, I play drums still.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've always had kind of like this creative side of you growing up, or has it been something that's developed?
I've always had the creative side, I think.
Yeah.
I've always, I don't know. I went to like this science studies in the gymnasium that you have in Sweden, and I studied 1 year like at KTH, a technical university here in Stockholm. But I like after 1 year there, I was like, no, I have to be a creative. I can't do this engineer thing.
So I mean, that must be a big leap though, to go from something so scientific to like such a creative thing. It's not like an easy transfer.
Yeah, but I've always grown up like, I should always have a plan B also. Like, when I was like 13, I want to be a rock star, of course.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I had that phase too.
But I took that too serious, my parents thought, I think. So I like studied all the science classes and all that stuff. Managed to get into KTH University, and that's where I realized I need to do something that I love, I think. So I like slowly transferred to study communication, and then went into seriously working with photography.
And so from that first camera, that like old fossil of a camera,
Yeah.
what camera came next? What became like your first professional camera?
After that, like, what do you say, brick of a camera?
Yeah.
It was, we had like this Canon Ixus, my family had like this Canon, the small ones, the pocket-sized ones.
Okay.
Then actually when I moved here to study, I freelanced on the side as a sound engineer. And I was like, I have all this access to all these artists. I could bring a camera, like to have backstage.
That's a good call.
Yeah, so I bought a camera and had a blog for where I posted all my gigs and like photos of the artists from the behind the scenes and all that stuff. And then eventually that developed. So when I started studying communication, I also got an issue with my ear, like tinnitus.
Jesus.
So I was like, oh, I can't do this no more. I can't work with sound engineering and drumming, but I have a camera. And that was
Wow.
I think it's like the Canon M5 now, or M10. Like it's a cheap mirrorless camera. I think it cost like 3,000 Swedish kroners. And that's what I had on my hand then. And I borrowed a camera from a friend when I booked like my first event gig and for my first wedding. I did a friend's wedding who didn't care about photography.
So that was a good place to start.
Yeah.
To start. Yeah.
So I shot that friend's wedding, borrowed my camera from a friend, like a 5D, Canon 5D.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I just threw up all those photos on like Instagram and stuff, and people started booking me. So I was like, I can't borrow this camera anymore. I need to go to that guy's place like 5 times a week to borrow that. So I was like, I need to buy one. So I bought a 5D.
What, Mark II, Mark III?
Mark III.
Mark III, okay. I remember the 5D Mark II the Mark III was like the biggest deal for us.
Yeah.
We shot our senior film on a Mark III.
Yeah.
I remember it was like revolutionary at the time. Could shoot video, such nice quality. I feel like it's very much starting camera for a lot of professionals in the industry.
Yeah, it's a great camera still.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about cameras, I mean, one thing I'm really interested in is the idea of a photographer being as good as his or her tools, like the camera. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think a really good camera is necessary to do really good work, or does it come from within the photographer?
I think it's two-sided.
Yeah.
I think, of course, when I bought the 5D, I knew nothing. I was like, that camera was like, it was something for me to grow into. And then I had so much work and I did so much photography that I outgrew that camera, I'd say. I was like, I knew all the ins and outs of it. And I was like looking for something new. So I bought something even better, grew into that. And I don't think you need a great camera to do great work. I'm kind of influenced by like Casey Neistat. All you need is a good idea.
Ooh,
like,
okay.
It's like what's inside the frame that matters.
Yeah.
Not what you do the frame with, like how you make the frame. It's more like, is it interesting? Does it have a story, or is it like, is it attractive?
Yeah. I spoke with one of my favorite directors of all time, John Dolan. I was lucky enough to go on a Skype call with him. And one of the pieces of advice that he gave me is don't obsess over gear.
Yeah.
He said the audience will be able to forgive clipped highlights or like grainy shadows, but they'll never ever forgive a bad story.
No.
Ever since he told me that, I've been trying so hard to kind of focus more on content. But it's hard, man. Like we always want like the best new camera, the sharpest lens. But also what I think about a lot, especially when making budgets for clients, is the Law of Diminishing Returns, where like the difference between an Arri Mira and a Sony a7S III, but with really good lighting. Like would the final product be noticeable to the audience that they can tell that it's not shot on an Mira? So I think truly it's more so about like technique and creative intention, which I hope is like an encouraging thought for a lot of photographers just starting out with like a maybe crappy camera or something that isn't 84 megapixels, you know?
Yeah, but I think you grow into that, I think. Like you need to grow into gear, but you need to also kind of outgrow them to develop.
Yeah. Okay.
To like, because when you have a new camera, new gear, it's like, yeah, of course if you have like a medium format camera, it's better dynamic range and all that stuff. But you need to, when you know the camera's limits, I think that's when you know exactly how to use it. That's when you can start to do really great stuff with it. Actually, a photographer I really look up to is he's also a director. His name is Noah Agemo.
Okay.
He's a bit younger than me, but he started out way earlier, and he's really good. And I was such a like gear geek. Yeah. I had all the gear. I bought gear for every new gig. I think I need this. I need this. I need this.
That's a bit excessive.
Yeah, it was. It was stupid. And then I looked at my like role model, Noah, and I saw like he does all his work with a 5D Mark III and a 35mm like lens. He does all his work with that. Like all of the stuff that I saw. Of course, for big shoots, he rented stuff and all that stuff. But I saw like he does great work with the same camera as I have, and like this prime lens.
How do you get to that point like this?
So I just sold everything and just I challenged myself to do all my work with my 5D Mark III and a 24-70 for like 8 months.
How did you feel with that? Did you feel limited, or was it kind of?
It was great.
Enlightenment for you.
Of course, if you need to do sound or something, of course you rent a mic or something. But otherwise, I did all my work for 8 months with that camera.
Do you feel like that's something that you think of today still? That guides your kind of prep? It's more about content over gear.
Yeah, but also having money to raise a kid.
Yeah, I mean, your child. When was she born?
9 months. She's as old as the pandemic, I'd say.
Oh my, that's a great
end
way
of
to
February.
look at it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So this 2-week quarantine that you always have, like just meeting the family, that became like 4 months for us. So.
Damn, like how does that change your mentality, like to raise a kid during the world as it is right now?
It's been it's been crazy. It's my first kid, so I don't know how it is to raise a kid outside of a pandemic.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. It's been weird. But we also had a lot of time with the family, and that's been great.
That's a plus.
Yeah, that's a real plus. I've been home a lot, actually.
I feel like that's kind of a plus then.
Yeah.
Like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it is.
Yeah, we were talking a bit earlier about how COVID kind of impacted the work. A lot of industries are kind of going through a really strange time where, like let's say a restaurant, like so many businesses run off of the revenue from the last month.
Yeah.
But it seems that the creative industry, maybe things have adapted on how to do it, but the need has been there. At least that's my opinion. I feel like especially with brands, like right when COVID hit, there was such a push to talk to their audience and tell them that they're there for them.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any of that where brands feel more of a need to talk to their audience, or has kind of the way that the creative industry been going, has it kind of like slowed down?
I'd say like some types of work, like shooting concerts and events, nothing of that has happened since March for me. And
that's a lot of your income, right? Is it?
It was
events and weddings.
It was like not anymore, but still, it's like maybe 20% of what I do.
Okay.
It's like connected to lots of people gathering in the same room.
Yeah, which is the one thing that you can do. Got it. Okay.
But I actually think that like first in March and April, everyone was like scary.
Yeah.
So no one did anything. And then everyone, like my clients, like their only way of communicating is through creative media, like photography, videos. So I think the need has been bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Actually, when I quit KTH, like quit the university, my parents were like, "Photography? Are you kidding?"
I think that's a lot of us, but
yeah. So we were actually sitting at a dinner with my family, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm quitting KTH." And I told them how, like, when I had written my last test, the last
the final exam.
The exam, the final exam of that year. I walked from that classroom, crying all the way to the subway.
Why?
Because I had studied so hard. Because I had already like decided that I was going to quit.
Yeah.
but I wanted to quit with a bang, you know. I nailed that exam. And I got the test paper and I didn't understand a thing of what's on the, like any questions, everything was just like, I have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
So I just sat there, draw a bunch of figures
And just
and
pray.
like, and then I like hand in the paper an hour later and the examiner took the paper and like, are you sure? I was like,
Oh my God.
and I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And then I closed the door and I started crying and went all the way to the subway.
brother.
And then I told my parents that I was like, yeah, this thing, I can't do it. It's not for me. I'm trying photography.
Yeah.
And they were like, are you out of your mind?
What year was this?
2014, actually.
Okay.
And they were like, are you out of your mind? That's crazy. But they were like, he's managed before. Maybe he can, we'll see what happens. 1 week later, me and my mom is talking on the phone and she's like, yeah, actually, I thought about this photography thing. You know, there are photos everywhere. Someone needs to take them, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
And it could be you?
Yeah, and that's me. And now,
So
like, yeah. So I think, and that demand is even bigger now. But also, still, the need for photography is big, but also the need for good photography is even bigger because if like everyone is just out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Showing off their work or showing off their products or everything. So you need to like, yeah, that's the difference between like photography and real good communication is like,
more of a need to stand out.
yeah,
It's like such a saturated landscape right now.
yeah.
There's one thing I was really curious to ask you about. Do you feel like the value of a good photographer has gone up or down? I mean, I understand that you think that it's going up perhaps, but in my mind, I think it might be going down because it's so easy to break into the industry now. Like anyone with an iPhone could start a passion for photography, and you know, cameras are getting cheaper and cheaper, that you can just buy a camera and a lot of projects could be done with a kind of novice photographer or someone just starting to get into it. So what do you think? You feel like value is going up or down?
I think it's, I think the value for good photographers are still, it's like, it's going up.
Going up?
Yeah, I'd say. But it depends on what's the, I always come down to talk to clients because sometimes as a photographer, of course, for me, I'm usually a one-stop shop. Like I don't have an agency yet,
Right.
or I don't have, like, I'm usually the guy doing everything when I work. And I always come down to this. Yeah, but what's the purpose? What's the purpose of this photo?
The why.
Because usually the clients have this idea, they have visualized something. Of course, they're entrepreneurs, so they have visualized something and seen, and then they have this product they want to sell or anything, and they have this vision of what the photo should look like. Because when you're like, especially when you work with small companies, because they have like, they want to be in every detail. Usually the entrepreneurs and founders want to be in every detail, and you can understand that.
Of course.
But I always come down to, okay, but what's the purpose? What is the actual purpose of this photo? What do you want to show? And yeah, that's actually, and that brings me back to the question that you need, like, I think the value for great photographers still is growing.
Yeah.
But also great ideas. There's so much crap out there.
Do you think that comes with experience? Is it through schooling, or is it something you're born with?
I think a combination of all of them.
Okay.
Actually, I think it's like you learn. The more you learn, the more you realize, the less you know.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's such a cliche, but it's so true.
No, it really is true.
Yeah.
No, it's very true. No, because I think also like it's very hard to teach taste. Like I feel like with what you grow up with, the movies that you watch, the photos that you admire, that's kind of what stays with you, and it's very hard to teach that.
Yeah, and also like you say that every photographer has their eye. That's like, of course I have my gear.
Yeah.
But my eye is that's my, what do you say, unique selling point.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us more about like your personal style. I mean, how would you describe it? Like, let's say you had to pitch to a brand. Like, how would you package yourself in a marketable way in regards to your style?
I think I try to be honest and authentic, and highlight, like, I do a lot of portraits, and in like 95% of all my portrait sessions start out with my subject telling me what they're not happy about.
About themselves?
About themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't like my chin, I don't like my nose, and I can understand that, because like everyone deals with that.
Yeah.
Everyone has some detail there, or even many people are like not happy with anything about themselves.
Yeah.
And I have a commitment to like prove them wrong.
Okay.
That's like one of my, because there's so many photographers that like really like edit stuff quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that. It can be really nice. But for me, like my style is, I want to be authentic as possible, and like prove my subjects wrong. Most of my subjects aren't used to be in front of a camera. They want to get this done quickly.
Okay.
And I usually, my dream session is like, it's a 4-hour session where we take a coffee and, you know, we talk about life, and then I snap a few photos.
Love that.
That's what I want to do. So I'd say I strive to be like authentic and honest, and like find the beauty in everyone that I shoot. Like prove them wrong about their thoughts about themselves.
Yeah.
But also, like if you want to go really technical, I usually, what do you say? I have quite cold, like
cool colors.
Yeah, cool colors.
Your blues are beautiful in every photo.
Oh, thank you.
No, truly. Yeah. Now, I feel like you also, I remember we talked about your use of a 35 during portraits, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of like a traditional 85 or 100 or even a 50, I remember you told me that that's too boring.
Yeah. No, it can be, it's a matter of taste.
Yeah? No, it's so true.
Yeah.
But it's unique. I mean, I don't see a lot of people doing it. I think maybe now,
I think my new like crush in prime lenses are 28 millimeter actually.
Why 28?
Because that's what's out there.
Okay.
That's what it's not 21, it's not 24,
and it's not
35. It's like 28, and that's my new favorite. Now I have a 35 on now, but I have a 28 like vintage Canon FD lens
Great
at home that I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that I sometimes use at this camera. That's interesting, but
you want to talk?
yeah. But the thing about like shooting with portraits with wider lenses is, for me, it gets so much more interesting when you can place the subject in an environment.
Yeah. Okay. Like environmental portraits, you mean, or
no? But like put some context around them.
Yeah.
That's
that's story.
Yeah.
I feel like also with your wider portraits, like you feel like you're there. Even just like a 35 compared to a 50, a lot of your portraits feel like the subject is like right there, like you can almost touch them.
Yeah, but that's also the secret about wide. I actually got a new iPhone 12, and I shoot my kid all the time with it. I have so much photos of my daughter.
Yeah.
But I realized I only use the wide angle lens.
Like the extreme wide.
Yeah, it's like 16 millimeters.
Yeah.
But the thing about shooting wide portraits, if you want to get like really technical about it, is when you shoot from a distance, you get the distance. Yeah, for me it's like when you shoot with like a portrait with a 85 or 200 or 100, it's like I feel that you're far away from the subject.
Right.
If you want to fill the same amount of real estate on the photo, but with a wide angle lens, you need to get a lot closer. So, yeah, I don't know what I want to say with that, but it's like, yeah, of course, the thing you said about feeling close to the subject, that's exactly what I want.
But I feel like it gets to a point where like the lens distortion could be unflattering, no, for a portrait.
Yeah, but that's my job. Yeah, that's why I wanna. That's part of the job, to make it look flattering.
Brilliant. I was thinking when you were talking about all the photos that you take of your kid, it's funny how like every generation, like I know like my grandparents maybe have like 1 or 2 photos that they're proud of when they were kids. My parents have maybe 10 to 15. Our generation and the next generation it's gonna be like an endless recording of their entire lives because they have an iPhone.
Like when I die, I'm gonna like hand over, I don't know how many like of these lazy rugged hard drives. I'm gonna give like a key to a storage with all the photos to my kids.
That's a wild, It's like so unique to
like
us.
You don't have albums anymore. You have like, this cloud service with like 250 million terabytes of photos of you.
But do you miss like an analog experience of like flipping through a photo book?
I buy more photo books than I read, I'd say.
Okay.
I have so many just laying on the shelves, but they're there for inspiration. But
I mean, not photo books of like other photographers, but like printing out your photos, putting them in like those sheets, those transparent sheets, and like 5 years go by and you look through them again and you see a memory that you forgot about. I feel like that's such a unique experience.
Yeah,
compared to like just
I should do that
because it's so nice, man.
I have a Dropbox folder.
Yeah.
I have the Pro storage plan.
Okay.
And I have every photo I've taken since 2005.
That's wild.
Like categorized and everything. So I usually like once or twice. I'm a very nostalgic person.
Yeah.
So once or twice a week, I just go into that folder, find a few ugly photos of a few friends, and just send it to them. It's like material for bribing.
Yeah. Blackmail. Yeah. No, but I mean, I've been shooting a lot on analog recently, and bringing it back to like how photography started. There was something so special about having an image printed on a piece of paper, or even just being able to hang it on a wall in your room.
Yeah.
How like photography was kind of meant to be enjoyed, to be seen wider than just like an Instagram photo on your phone. How do you feel about that now? Like we put in so much work to take a good photo.
Yeah.
You know, you do the prep, you do the production, you spend endless hours in post-production, retouching, coloring. And then when people see your photo on Instagram, they scroll by it in like a second.
Yeah. Then it's not for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you, okay.
Yeah, what's the purpose of the photo?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me also, I've been like, of course, I started like my photography Instagram in 2014 when I got that 5D. And it's, I've been like chasing followers like crazy. I did all these, like a few years ago, I did all the influencer work stuff for exposure and all that. And I a lot of people have done it way better than me. Just look at the numbers on my Instagram.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
But for me, I don't chase followers or anything like that anymore. For me, it's been like, I want to, like, most people who follow me are photographers.
Okay.
And for me, the Instagram has been, and social media, it has been more of a, this is what I do. Okay. Take it or leave it.
Do you ever think about like potential clients that you could be interesting when you post photos?
Yeah, of course. Some of it is bragging.
Yeah, well, like maybe not bragging, but branding.
What?
Instead of bragging, perhaps branding is a more subtle term.
Yeah, subtle, but not honest.
Okay, hey man,
I want to be authentic.
Yeah, hey, that's your brand. I get that. Yeah.
No, but of course, if I put out all the work I'm most proud of, I'd say on Instagram. Of course, I have some filter there, but it's. I think for me, the thing about analog photography is about the moment when you capture. You don't have a display to show, because when you have the camera here, you take a photo, and you instantly lose contact with your subject.
That's a really good
and
point.
Also the subject also, can I see him? You need to show. So that's the thing I love about analog photography. Also,
there has to be trust there.
Yeah. Also people don't take analog photography like the subjects. I realize don't take that as serious, because they're just but that's just the analog camera. It's just for fun. And also that's maybe why you get some of the best photos from the analog camera, because people don't take the camera too seriously.
Wow, that's a really good insight.
Yeah.
Now for me, like with analog, you really have to slow down.
Yeah.
You could even just base it off of price. Like every photo costing like $2.
Yeah.
It's not that you can take like 1,000 photos per session. No. But if you're shooting 35 mil, it's maybe 36 photos or 24 that you have in that roll. And with different medium format, like 8 to 16. And you have to make sure it's a good shot.
Yeah.
I think both you and I, like, we love lifestyle, kind of like the moments in between moments.
Yeah.
I'll take maybe 2,000 photos per session because I'm trying to capture that moment, like as they're fixing a jacket or something like that. those candid shots.
Yeah.
It's so tough to do that with medium format or analog, like analog medium format. But ever since I started shooting analog, I feel like it's made me a better photographer.
Yeah.
So what camera do you shoot on? Is the Leica SL?
Yeah, this is the Leica Sl. This is actually the second pro camera I have.
Okay.
I bought this right after I thought that I outgrew my 5D Mark III. And a friend of mine showed this to me because I was into buying the Mark IV. And actually my mentor showed it to me and like, maybe this is what you want, because I also wanted, my idea was I want a 5D Mark IV for photography, and then I want a Sony A7S.
For video.
For video.
Yeah.
And he was like, you should look at the Leica SL. It's like both of them in one. So I borrowed his camera, tried it out, and like, you know how when you open raw files and you like, there's some things that you always do no matter what. Like some edits you do on every photo. Yeah. You always fix that tint, or you always fix that. Like, it was like I came home when I opened the raw files of this one. I was like, so much stuff I was like annoyed about from the Canon. It's a great camera, but when I like opened the raw files on this one, I was like, wow, this is home. Okay. This is exactly how I want it to be. This is what it's all I wanted from a raw file. It kind of like seems like it's your voice naturally. Yeah. And also the thing I like about it is because like a lot of other cameras, you have so much specs. This camera has like the same specs as many mirrorless cameras has now. And this came out in 2016. Okay. Yeah. Not exactly the same specs, but a lot of good specs. But it's I think like if you compare to like the Sonys and the Canons, the new Canon ones, for me they feel more like a computer with a camera on it. Okay. Than just a camera. I see what you're saying. This is so like, this is the thing I like about it. It's so minimalistic. I mean, it's aesthetically beautiful too. Actually working with it, it's like nothing gets away from the photo. Yeah. It's like, it's all about that picture. It's not about settings. Of course you need to know how to set your camera, but it's like, it all comes down to the photo. And there's nothing distracting from taking the photo in this camera, I think. Okay. But also maybe that is, for me, that's, this camera was like getting home. I just found my, what do you say? Your aesthetic, your style, your voice. I was like, this is I just creative soul. I felt like I came home. Okay. Do you recommend it to other photographers, or do you feel like every camera is different for every photographer? I say you do what you want. I mean, fair. Yeah. Not a bad answer. I'd say you don't need a Leica to take great photos, because I've seen, some of my favorite photos I've taken with my iPhone. Yeah, especially when you have a story behind it, like any photos of you and your daughter. Yeah. Like when you know the moment behind it, that's really what. And it's so cheesy, Yeah. Whatever, man. But in my mind, it's the truth. I mean, for me, a lot of my work, a lot of stuff on my Instagram, just like my friends and I at the beach, and there's always a memory tied to it. Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm trying to capture with my work for brands, like that moment, but story. Yeah, story. Content and context is so important. But also that's because when it's your story and when you tell your story and how you see things, that's also what makes your voice. Like that's what makes you. Yeah. Your style. For me, like my worldview, my upbringing has like, of course, formed my aesthetic. Yeah. For me, like one thing I do, I try, because so much stuff out there is so sexualized. Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, there are enough butts on Instagram now. Yeah. I don't need to contribute to that. Yeah. It's like, when I take portraits of women, maybe I try to, because there's so many photos where, and also a lot of like people, when they get in front of the camera, they just repeat what others have done. They like do the same poses and the same, like, for me it's, how do I put this in words? It's like very technical and very practical. It's like usually when I portray a woman, I usually shoot from, I had the camera below her eye height, low to high angle. Because it makes them look powerful. Yeah, I do. And exactly. It's like, for me, it's because women historically have been portrayed like from above, and for me it's like, if you look at most of my photos, like portraits, I think most of them are shot from
Low to high.
Yeah.
Because,
and also that's like, for me, it's like a protest to this selfie angle thing.
Okay. yeah.
Like, no,
I can see that.
I shoot from below, and I make my portraits look confident and powerful.
This idea of confidence and powerful, I feel like I see that a lot in your work with Morjas. I remember one shoot that I joined you on, just to kind of see how you work. I got to shadow you. That was very much the vibe. I feel like Morjas, well, maybe you can speak better to it than I can, but how does Morjas and their aesthetic, how do you complement them with your work that way?
The thing was, actually, when Morjas started in 2017, they contacted me and was like, yeah, we're looking for a long-term photographer. We like your work. Could we do a test shoot?
Awesome.
And we did that. And when I got that job, I just looked like through all kinds of similar work. Morjas makes like Goodyear welted shoes, like classical shoes, in classical leather shoes. And I looked like through all the kinds of content that's out there. Like you look at Crockett & Jones, and you look at all those other shoe brands, and it's so generic. It's so like, and they were like, yeah, we want to change the entire business model. We want to revolutionize the industry.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we should do some revolutionary photos then.
Great pitch.
So I looked at all those photos. Okay, this is everything I want it not to be.
Yeah.
And then I just did it out of that. So yeah, if you look at Morjas photos, usually wide-angled, usually like, if it's a combination of like, yeah, you have the classical shoe, but you have like the Nike vibe to it.
Okay. Well, I feel like also with the rest of your work, the environment and context is so important too. Like a lot of the work that you went to Mallorca with them, right?
Yeah, we go every year.
I mean, the environment is just as much as part of the story than the subject and the shoot. No?
Yeah. Morjas' story is also like the founder grew up in Spain. And
one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, español es muy divertido.
Dale. Yep. Absolutely.
No, but he grew up in Spain, and he's like, so the shoes are made there.
Yeah.
And so it's just natural to go there and shoot the photos there. We've been in Italy also a few times. But it's also like
Tough
they
life.
have a life. They have a real nice like strategy to attach their brand to different people.
Okay.
So you have like, we've been in Milano shooting Luca Rubinacci.
Okay.
He's like a creative director they make like bespoke suits. So
All right.
actually we flew there. The first time we shot with him, we flew to Milano for a day, and he was on the phone all day. Like, so actually when he
Wait, who was Luca or
Luca Rubinacci.
Okay.
So when he changed clothes, he was on the phone all the time. And then we took the photo, he just put the phone in the jacket and like did his thing, and then he just took up the phone again.
Oh my God.
And so like every second hour he was like, yeah, that was the president of Afghanistan. I'm making him 10 suits. And he was like, so weird. That was so impressive guy. Such an impressive guy. He's like, yeah, he makes suits for, I think they start at €6,000, like all his suits. And like, so that's one of the profiles they attach their brand to. A lot of the people modeling are actually like profiles. When we flew to Mallorca, we brought a guy named Nathaniel Asaraf. He's vintage. He has a vintage store in Gothenburg. Okay. He and his family runs it, and they sell like vintage military clothes. And it's like, he knows everything about clothing, like vintage and army clothes. And he has great style. And he also brought his friend Kevis. We shot some photos of him there. And actually, both of them have worked at Ralph Lauren in Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, and now, actually, as we speak, Kevis is, he and his two boys, his two sons, are like fronting the new Ralph Lauren campaign in France.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
is that part of your prep, like when you're working with a brand, focusing on who the subject can be? Like you're usually trying to find someone who has a profile in culture?
I think my process is usually how can I, because like when you run a business as a photographer, you always need to make the client happy.
Of course. Yeah.
But you also need to think that if they come to you, they come to you for a reason.
Yeah.
Some just came to you because they know you have a camera.
Okay.
And they just want the cheapest photographer. Yeah. So I usually just set the price a little bit too high so I don't have to deal with them.
Okay.
But that's kind of
rough,
a tactic, but it's what it is.
You do you.
But when I usually try to, when I can resonate with the client, when I get like recommended to someone or anything and they contact me and if I can resonate with what they do, that's when it gets interesting.
Yeah.
And it's more like, okay, they have contacted me for a reason, but also I need to make them happy. So how can we like combine this? How can I bring my wide angle lens to this client?
Yeah, exactly. So is there anyone in the industry that you think deserves some positive attention right now, that they're up and coming, doing a good job?
Yeah, actually one of my, he's not a photographer, he's an artist and musician. His name is Sebastian Järpehag. He has a band called Karakou and he has it with his 2 brothers. So there are 3 brothers in the band and a few other guys. And they are crushing it because their band are finally getting some attention, but also they have their solo projects. One of them is like producing albums for like big shot Swedish artists right now. And,
awesome.
Yeah, they're making really good things. So I think the band name is, I know the band name is Karakou.
Okay.
They're really good. And cool. Sebastian Järpehag, I'd say.
All right. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming today. Where can people find you? What's your email or your website and your Instagram?
If you want to see my work, hire me.
Yeah.
No. You can abraham.engelmark
on Instagram.
Yeah, and then engelmark.co.
Copy that. Yeah. All right, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. I learned a lot. Appreciate it. Tack.
Sunshine and rainbows. I've been feeling good, yeah, you know that it's true. You say that you love me, baby, what you tryna do? We could see the world every day, me and you. Sunshine and rainbows. I've been feeling good, yeah, you know that it's true. You say that you love me, baby, what you tryna do? Every day is sunshine and rainbows. I've been looking good, tryna hit the mangoes. Take a trip out to the beach, just see where the day goes. Put a smile on my face.